Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the latest tournament that just happened for competitive Pauper Commander called the Sanctuary, which is going to be a reoccurring online webcam tournament series. And at the most recent tournament, there were 16 people that showed up, and a decent number of decks were represented. There were multiple Gretchens, third path iconoclasts, and a couple gut inspiring leaders. But one thing that I wanted to talk about is how there was not a single black deck represented in this tournament. So I want to talk about maybe why that is. One of the most notable reasons, obviously, is the fact that there were only 16 players that showed up to this event, so there's not as much room for colors to be represented, and especially with only 16 people, it's possible for a color to not show up. So that's definitely part of the reason. But I want to focus on some of the other potential reasons that I think these black decks might not have shown up. One thing is there's a time limit on these tournament matches. The matches were limited to 95 minutes, and a lot of combo decks showed up because of this, I would assume. So a lot of people were just trying to go fast, and a lot of the black decks in our format don't do that necessarily. A lot of them are more controlling and play for that mid-range or control play style. Also, most black decks don't have any combo that's specifically enabled by the black color identity. There are a couple combo lines that are enabled by the black color identity, specifically a lot of undying evil kinds of effects that allow you to resurrect creatures after they die, along with sacrifice outlets and Archaeomancer effects, along with the Mogwarts combo with First Day of Class. But the First Day of Class combos can also work in red-green. And there's also Cormella, which is a notable deck. So there are a couple of combos that work because of black, but not many. And they're not super well represented in the meta currently. Whereas a lot of combos are enabled by blue color identity. Some are enabled in two color identities, such as blue-green and blue-red, which were very heavily represented at this tournament. And since we saw a lot of combo, that could help explain it a bit. Black is a great supporting color for combo decks, as it gives access to a lot of additional cards with transmute, and therefore a lot of additional tutors. But it doesn't really provide any additional combo lines typically. As for decks that are black in color identity and also faster, we only have a couple. For example, Loyal Subordinate and Passageway Seer are two mono black decks that I think have the potential to be fast enough for tournament settings. However, both of these decks are mono black, which means they lack the versatility that you might get from two color combinations, such as Dimir or Rakdos. There's a couple of issues with that because you don't have access to those additional colors, so people might shy away from those decks because they want to have more options and stronger cards in the 99 overall thanks to that additional color. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the next big event that could come up. There's also the big tournament up at RIW Hobbies in Michigan in this next coming month, I believe. So do I think that there will be black decks that show up at this tournament? I think definitely yes. I'm assuming that this event's going to be much bigger. It's been hyped up a lot. And so just the increase in player count will probably lead to at least one black deck showing up. But also, the fact that no black decks showed up to the Sanctuary tournament could encourage some people who really enjoy the playstyle of these black decks to start pushing to actually prove that their deck is tournament viable and things of that nature. Also, if people are really scared of blue-white Abdel, which is the deck that won the Sanctuary tournament, it is possible that they could lean towards black to help try to deal with that deck, as most of black's removal will actually be able to remove not only Abdel himself, who has 4 toughness, and is very difficult to remove with red removal, and an enter the battlefield effect, which makes bounce removal not as effective. So black can deal with him himself, but black can also deal with some other problematic permanents, such as Mnemonic Wall, another just 4 toughness creature that some other colors have issues with. However, black does struggle to deal with some of the artifacts that you might want to remove against Abdel, such as Vessel of Endless Rest or the Hierophant's Chalice. Another card that is worth noting for the Abdel matchup specifically, as well as any Flicker deck, is Bloodseeker. This is a card that will drain your opponent's life whenever they start having creatures enter the battlefield, so it helps put a limit on the number of times that things can be flickered, and especially in Abdel, whenever flickering creates additional bodies, this can really force the deck to have an out very quickly. Against other flicker decks, they can flicker just a Muldrifter and an Archaeomancer a decent number of times before they'll actually lose to a Bloodseeker effect and try to find the out. But against Abdel specifically, who has to make the 1/1s whenever he's flickering things, it can be very detrimental. So I think a potential deck that could be very strong at this tournament, if you really want to deal with Abdel, I wouldn't recommend doing this just to deal with Abdel, but I do think Vizkopa Guildmage could be a potentially strong choice, as being in black-white allows you to have access to not only Bloodseeker, but also Suture Priest, who has a similar ability. So having that redundancy can be nice. Vizkopa Guildmage is a black deck with a combo for potential outlets, so it can actually end games in a timely manner, and it's also got pretty good grind game, with the abilities on the commander and the life gain being able to help outpace some of the aggro decks in the format, as well as excellent removal. So it's really just a question of how often are you able to find your combo pieces, and you'll likely be wanting to be the second person to combo at a pod with this deck. Or you could try to go a route that doesn't combo, but I think Vizkopa Guildmage without a combo is probably a bit too slow for tournament timed events. I could be wrong though. Obviously, all of this is just my personal speculation, and if you guys think I'm wrong, feel free to let me know down in the comments, or just prove me wrong. Take one of those decks to a tournament and prove that I am wrong, and then I can talk about that in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and made it this far. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you all next time.